It's been 1 year since the deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol. Earlier today, President Biden addressed the nation about the importance of a peaceful transfer of power. He also placed blame on former President Trump for misleading his supporters about the election.
We saw with our own eyes rioters menace these halls, threatening the life of the Speaker of the House, literally erecting gallows to hang the Vice President of the United States of America. What did we not see? We didn't see a former president who had just rallied the mob to attack, sitting in the private dining room off the Oval Office in the White House, watching it all on television and doing nothing for hours.
1 year ago, Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building as Congress began working to confirm Joe Biden's Electoral College victory. So far, more than 700 people have been arrested in connection with the attack, but the FBI is still looking for at least 350 people believed to have committed acts of violence that day.
The Justice Department remains committed to holding all January 6 perpetrators at any level accountable under law, whether they were present that day or were otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on our democracy. We will follow the facts wherever they lead.
For more, I'd like to bring in CBS legal contributor Jessica Levinson and CBS News political contributor Molly Hooper. Thank you both for joining me. Jessica, I want to start with you. The investigation into the Capitol attack has been one of the most extensive and involved undertakings for the Justice Department. Can you break down the process of this investigation for us?
I think the thing that you said up front is the most important thing, which is this is the biggest investigation I think the Department of Justice has ever undertaken already. And I know for some people it's surprising for me to say already when we're talking about events that occurred a year ago, but already we've had 725 arrests from almost all of our 50 states. And if you listen to Merrick Garland's speech yesterday, the Attorney General, he really was trying to give us like a kind of law school 101 on federal prosecution. So you have to go through in-depth investigations. Some people basically reveal themselves on social media. Some people were low-hanging fruit and were easy to find. Some people you have to go through documents, talk to other people, find enough evidence to charge them. And what Merrick Garland also said is, you know, obviously we're continuing to investigate, but the way these big investigations go, even though there is no direct corollary, but the way other big investigations go is you start basically with the lower level offenses and you continue to gather information and work your way up to the more complex and serious charges. And I think that's what we're all really getting a lesson in as we watch these cases kind of play out on the public stage. We've seen, I believe, 165 guilty pleas. Some of these cases are set for trial. I don't believe any of them have gone to trial yet. And the Attorney General has been very clear that this is not the end of the investigation process. So we're still looking into people and documents. We're still charging people, and we're still going to see trials. And I do not expect that we should think this will wrap up within the next weeks or even months.
Molly, the House Select Committee investigating the Capitol attack is expected to hold public hearings in the coming weeks. What do you think we'll learn from those hearings?
Well, at this point, you know, talking to the people who are involved with this work, the committee has already interviewed something like 300 people behind the scenes. They've issued 50 subpoenas, reviewed thousands of documents, and essentially what they're wanting to do with the public phase of this is show what happened in the lead up to the attack and then what the president was doing while the attack was going on and what he wasn't doing. And I think that we've sort of had a slice of that last month, in December, when Liz Cheney was reading off text messages that Mark Meadows, the then chief of staff to former President Trump, was receiving from members of Congress and individuals up on Capitol Hill, individuals within the administration imploring him to get the president to say something, to put an end to this. Because the committee, and you'll hear this by members who are leading the committee, you'll hear this 187 minutes between the time that the president said, "You got to march to Capitol Hill," and the point in which he released that video saying, "Stop it, enough." And, you know, what was going on in that 187 minutes that could have, you know, possibly, and this is something that the committee is exploring, whether to refer just to refer criminal charges to the Justice Department, that the president somehow had a role in obstructing the official act of Congress by not acting in that time period when it was clear that rioters were taking over the Capitol, and the president, by speaking out, could have done something. But again, that will be established in these public hearings, and right now the committee is kind of trying to figure out which witnesses will be the best individuals to lay out that narrative and tell that story so that it's understandable to the American people.
Jessica, the Justice Department is facing increasing pressure from lawmakers to hold former President Trump and his allies accountable for the January 6th attack. As we heard yesterday, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland vowed to pursue this investigation at any level, but he's never given any details about whether he's building a case against the former president or his allies. What's your take?
Nor should he. This is the way a federal investigation should proceed. The public should not be sitting next to the Attorney General while he essentially passes us notes and we look piece by piece, even though it's so tempting and it would be so wonderful. But that's the way federal investigations proceed. You don't give the public constant updates about, well, we're looking at the former president with respect to this. And let's remember, there's a lot that's already public. So when it comes to whether or not the Attorney General and the Department of Justice should charge the former president, I also want to emphasize that that decision should in no way be based on what the lawmakers are saying, what members of Congress are saying in terms of political pressure. Now, Molly mentioned this is so important. If the House Select Committee says, look, we've garnered enough evidence here that we want to vote to make a recommendation to the Department of Justice, that is entirely within their purview and very appropriate. But then the Department of Justice needs to make an independent assessment. It's so important the Department of Justice, regardless of whether or not the House is controlled by Republicans or Democrats, makes these independent, impartial assessments as to whether or not the facts meet the law, whether or not there's enough to charge the president. Now, as I said before, so much of what happened is already public. You know, Molly talked about a lot of the actions the former president took, and then a lot of things he failed to do in that 187 minutes. We have to, and I know this is so painful to wait, but we have to wait for the Department of Justice to do their thing, to gather their information, to look at the federal code and decide whether or not there's enough to move forward with respect to these particular actions.
And finally, before we wrap this up, Molly, you were in Washington on January 6th. What do you remember from that day?
Actually, you know, I was on CBSN talking to Tanya Rivero and just watching these images come in. As somebody who's covered the Capitol and who has worked in the Capitol for many years, it was just a surreal image to see individuals breaking the windows and pushing through the Capitol barriers to get inside the Capitol at a time when nobody was allowed in the Capitol because of COVID. And I think what was a very stark image to me was the lack of security presence around the Capitol at a time when there was such division and frustration and anger in the country. We didn't see more security presence at the Capitol. And being in Washington after 9/11, the first thing that happened after 9/11 was, of course, major security presence everywhere. And it was very strange to me that wasn't more visible and could have been perhaps more of a deterrent to individuals who were just essentially walking into the Capitol building at a time when it was closed. And so it was a very surreal experience.
Surreal indeed. Jessica Levinson, Molly Hooper, thank you both for your insight.